What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Cool Guard Minecraft. In this one, I'm reacting to another KianKSG video. Now listen, I know it's been a long time since I posted anything on this channel. However, I have some big plans coming up that I can't quite spoil yet. It's going to be pretty epic though, so stay tuned for maybe a trailer or something to drop like that. By the way, in this video, I'm reacting to what happened to the egg on the Dream SMP. Now, if I'm going to be honest, the egg was probably my least favorite storyline. It just seemed kind of random and a little bit over the top, but it's still interesting to hear about all the different storylines, how they ended or where they're going. I did see something on a Foolish Gamers stream where there was a little bit of the egg back, so I'm assuming they're going to bring back the storyline. I guess we're going to find out in this video. However, before we get into this video, I would really appreciate if you guys could scroll down and double check that you've clicked that subscribe button. A lot of people mean to subscribe, but they end up watching the video and forgetting, so it would mean a lot if you could double check. Let's get into it.
The egg story was one of the most unique storylines that the Dream SMP has ever had, and ever since the Red Banquet, there hasn't been much news about the egg.
It wasn't
so,
very
what
exciting.
actually happened to it, and will it ever hatch? Let's talk about that. But first, thanks to Opera GX for sponsoring this video. Currently, your browser looks like this.
I don't think it ever will hatch.
It's boring, and it lacks a bunch of
Because,
useful features. But
I mean, it's been around. They did that.
Like this, a very nice Minecraft world. Well,
Tales of the Dream
imagine
SMP
no
or whatever it
more.
is,
Just
and
like
it was like
Minecraft
super
worlds,
old,
you can even get
with
custom
Sorbillium and
animated
stuff like that.
You'll definitely footage the allow you to. That's not it. Oh no. Obviously, everybody's like absolute favorite game thing. So, message thank you. Understand everything, we need to go back to the beginning. The egg was first seen on the SMP in a mansion owned by a rich guy named Sorbillium. This was many years ago, and all the characters that you currently know of on the Dream SMP hadn't even been born yet. Carl travelled back in time and arrived at this mansion during one of the Tales from the SMP episodes, and during his visit, the electricity to the house would cut out, and guests around the house would be murdered. This was actually like a fun alive would be Carl, in which he hides behind a fake painting,
little episode of this. I don't watch a lot of like the side stuff, but I did watch this one because it just looked funny, and it was.
Just as Sorbillium was about to attack Carl, he gets teleported back to the present day. And with that, we go forward in time to the more current and recent events of the SMP, to the day that BadBoyHalo discovered the egg in his statue room that he was constructing. In December of 2020, BadBoyHalo showed a few members of the SMP a red egg in the corner of his statue room. At this point, he was slowly
look much like an egg there.
To the egg, even though this thing looked like it could be super dangerous. The egg ended up growing and expanding, covering parts of the SMP with clumps of vines and slowly overtaking people's builds. And
also, why would the egg not have expanded
trying to destroy these vines?
Before he found it?
Would find out about this and try to step in and stop them from taking any more down, mentioning that he thought the vines were nice looking and needed to be around. These vines would begin to rapidly grow, covering tons of important buildings and infecting the SMP. The majority of the server disliked these vines and would try to go around and get rid of them, but an exception was made for CaptainPuff, Ponk, and Antfrost. These members for some reason understood why BadBoyHalo liked the vines, even to a point that Antfrost would be able to hear the egg speak just like BadBoyHalo. During this, Bad and Antfrost became disciples.
Yeah, I remember the
vines in people's bases and
storyline where they're like mind controlled,
and even taking orders from the egg itself. And around a similar time, Ponk was being infected by the egg too, finding a version of the egg inside of his newly built
I feel like I don't ever see anything about Ponk.
Ponk protected this in a glass box.
I know that he's like a member of the Dream SMP,
but time went on,
maybe he's just like,
would grow, and
where is he from? I feel like he must just stream odd hours
to
or
become
something.
A disciple for the egg as well. Whilst the egg was growing massively, BadBoyHalo took Sam down to inspect the egg and see how it was doing. And at this point, it had grown vines all around the room and doubled in size. Sam didn't like this and decided that he needed to place TNT to destroy it, and as it exploded, it caused the egg to crack, creating magma blocks all around the place. BadBoyHalo said that this made the egg incredibly angry, and that it would need flesh to heal itself, and said that Sam would have to sacrifice himself. Obviously, Sam ran away to Church Prime to cleanse themselves in the water, whilst BadBoyHalo and Puffy covered
I like
the egg in obsidian so that no one else could
building
the
that
egg
was
again.
just there
But
to get people to subscribe on Twitch became like a major storyline.
Destroying a few blocks. Bad, Puffy, and Ant realized this and went on to protect the egg, but Skeppy told them that he needed some time alone with the egg, leading to Skeppy covering the egg with
whatever happened to
obsidian
Skeppy
again,
too?
but this time trapping himself inside with it. During his time inside with the egg, Skeppy had changed color to red and was fully infected by the egg, becoming a disciple of the egg as well. Over time, the egg became even more powerful, eating through a layer of the obsidian that was placed around it, and was now covered in nether bricks and darker red blocks. All the water that was placed near it had changed into lava, and overall, this thing was getting super dangerous. At this time, Puns, BadBoyHalo, and Ant decided to make a decontamination entrance to the statue room, allowing people to enter and quickly cleanse themselves when leaving. And over the next few weeks, the egg would continue to grow its vines until the whole room was full up. And around this time,
but I thought they were
Puns,
trying to
Ant,
get
and Puffy
people
met up to talk about
to become
the egg
disciples.
and
Why
what
would they
should
have
do
a
about
decontamination
it, thus creating the egg pyre. They all agreed to destroy the decontamination area around it and just let the egg be free. And in doing so, Puns became more infected and started to fully love the egg, whereas Puffy had continued to be a bit iffy about the situation, leading to her writing in a book to not trust the egg. On January 25th of 2021, the egg pyre gathered for another meeting, this time without Puns but with Sam. They talk about getting rid of Tommy as he was getting in the way with their plans, and it was realized that he was the only person on the server that was fully immune to the egg. But Sam heavily disagreed with this plan and tried to stop Bad and Ant from going after him. This leading to Sam being dropped through a trapdoor and left in an obsidian cage above the egg until he would be infected. The next day, Puffy and Tommy went to where Sam was trapped and broke him out. But at this point, he was super worn out and tired, and there was notable changes on his skin to signify that the egg may have infected him slightly. After a while though, Sam would slowly get better and back to normal, and with this become heavily against the egg. A few days later, BadBoyHalo would go and talk to Technoblade and trying to convince him to join the egg pyre. He would take Techno on a tour around the vines and eventually to the egg. Whilst this was happening though, Rambo was sneakily following them to see what they were doing. Whilst the tour was going on, Puffy had heard about Bad's plan to recruit Technoblade and rushed over to the egg to stop Bad, and in doing so, Rambo was caught by Bad and pushed into the same hole that Sam was trapped into. Luckily though, Technoblade dropped him a trident so he could quickly get out, because if he didn't get out, then Rambo would have been infected as well and another person would have joined the egg pyre. Later down the line, Ant told Bad that Tommy had been killed in the prison and
don't remember any of this. I feel like
this was big news for the egg pyre.
Kind of knew what was going on, but now I'm completely lost.
Dangerous for them. They chose to hold a party in celebration.
And I figured I would have, because I like following the Technoblade, anything that he's involved in.
During this celebration, Puffy had heard about why they were celebrating and got really angry with Bad. This causing the egg pyre to move to another one of Tommy's buildings, the Big Innit Hotel, and rent out a room to finish the party off. But then, Hannah's house was covered in blood vines from the egg, and this was causing her to be ill and get an allergic reaction. Some visited her
I didn't know that
house
Hannah had any storyline. This is all news to me.
As possible before she gets infected like the others. And as they
I don't think I've ever seen her be a part of a storyline. I just thought she was on the server just like building.
Destroying these vines. Sam told Bad about her allergic reaction to them, but the egg pyre didn't care and took her to visit the egg. When they arrived at the egg spoke to Bad and told him that it didn't want Hannah to be killed. Instead, the egg pyre decided to trap Hannah in the obsidian cage above the egg, just like they did to Sam and Rambo. Over time, the colour from her skin would start to drain,
this is all news
her
to me.
Fully grey and get really ill. After Sam had cleared up a few of the vines at Hannah's house, he ran over to the egg to see Hannah trapped inside the cage, and proceeded to break her out before she died from the reaction. He carried her home, but while this was all happening, the egg kept on speaking to Hannah, convincing her to listen to the egg and potentially help it. Due to the negative image of the egg pyre decided it was time to throw a banquet with many of the members of the SMP and try to get them all to like the egg.
I'm not sure I've seen really any of the I guess I saw Foolish in some of the Dream. He was like a part of Lost Nevada. I guess. So I was trying to think, have I seen any newer SMP members as a part of the storyline?
And felt like it was time to destroy it. He created many underground tunnels to and from the statue room and then plastered the area with TNT to destroy this egg once and for all. But as he was about to light it, Bad and Puns had spotted him and attempted to stop him. After a back and forth argument between the group, Quackity had no other choice than to light the TNT and blow up everything. But with doing so, it seemed like not too much damage was caused to the egg, as it was found out that any TNT explosion would make the egg change to obsidian and then back again as a defense mechanism. After this, BadBoyHalo was still preparing for the banquet. He'd been spending the next few weeks decorating the statue room up more and added a massive table and dance floor for the party. He noticed that Skeppy was standing on top of the egg and talking to it, so he went over to try and get him down to talk, but Skeppy refused and told Bad to leave him alone. So Bad keeps on trying to get him down from the egg, but Skeppy doesn't budge. Bad proceeds to mention how if Skeppy wasn't there the other day, then the egg would have been hurt by Quackity's explosion, and also tells Skeppy to stay away from the egg for now. But Skeppy doesn't like this and starts to shout at Bad, causing an argument.
I feel like I haven't seen or heard anything about Skeppy in a long time.
Skeppy into a pool of lava, which eventually killed him.
Oh, he
Bad
died.
was in shock and obviously didn't mean for this to happen, causing him to black out. About a week later, it is time to host the Red Banquet. BadBoyHalo, Punk and Antfrost welcome all the guests down into the statue room and give them food and drinks. They all proceed to party for a bit until it was time for the main event. They headed over to the main table and Bad started to say a speech, but as he did though, lava rained down from the ceiling, trapping all the guests towards the egg. Bad proceeds with his speech, ending it with telling the guests that they should all prepare to die. A fight breaks out with the egg pie's main goal in mind to kill as many guests as possible, so that the egg could use their energy and hatch. Buffy went to grab armor and weapons from a secret chest she'd prepared beforehand, but the chest was emptied. And it is now in which Hannah tells Puffy that she was on the egg pie's side and that she gave the armor away. Sam had prepared a TNT trap above the egg, but it all failed as the egg could now change itself into obsidian when taking explosive damage.
Dang, that's cool. I don't know what kind of coding that would require.
Bad and Ant started off with executing Foolish and giving his energy to the egg. They made him stand in front of the egg and face the rest of the guests as he was killed.
Okay, so I guess Foolish was a part of this storyline too. Wow, this is crazy. This is all very insightful.
And entered the statue room. He sneakily dropped an axe to Puffy and attempted to convince Bad to let everyone go. Puffy went straight after Antfrost and killed him, just as Technoblade entered behind Quackity with his army of dogs and Purpled following just behind. Things were looking rough for the Eggpire as they realized they were heavily outnumbered now and couldn't do anything against them. So they all retreated, running through one of the tunnels and out towards the sea. Bad told them all to split up in case anyone was following them and got in a boat to flee to safety. And as they were fleeing, Purpled, Quackity and Technoblade led the guests to safety, mentioning how they were going to block off the egg and do experiments on it with the hopes of destroying it. And over the next months, nothing would really happen. The egg would end up staying in the statue room and gaining the power to harm people when they attempt to break it, causing no one to want to go near it. Eric also mentioned quite recently that the egg is dormant, probably because of the lack of people who have been down to see it and ultimately help it. And all of this together begs the question, what the hell is inside the egg? They threw this whole banquet with the main goal of hatching the egg, but nothing to really happen. They also mentioned they were going to try and destroy it.
How is there even anything inside it? Because there's so many times where they like put Sam inside the egg.
The idea I have for all of this is that they will bring it back at a later date and most likely destroy it, which obviously is quite the boring outcome and not what we all want to hear. So what do I think is inside it? Well, from what we know, with it being able to talk to people and it using people's energy as a source of fuel and a way to heal itself, its ability to infect people and control people, it all adds up to some kind of monster, some mythical thing that would eventually destroy the SMP, a way of potentially ending the SMP and killing all the players. But one idea I really like is the thing inside the egg is actually a player, a new player that will eventually join the server and make their lore based around the egg. They will eventually join the server and hatch from the egg and become a sort of villain, having disciples by their side, similar to how Dream has people by his side and they do his bidding.
Who could
Dream
be big
had Tommy
enough
on strings for ages, so this mythical character could do a similar thing.
Who's a big enough
control people to do what they want. But I want to point out the massive thing being Tales from the SMP. We saw Carl go back in time and see the early days of the egg, which makes me think there is more stuff going on with Tales to do with the egg, especially when looking at the place called the Other Side and how this place
Tales of the
is
SMP even still going,
and with that has similar looks to the egg, causing me to think that maybe one of the new demigods that we saw in the most recent
I've seen like 3 episodes of that
has something to do with it and could potentially be what is in the egg. This demigod could have turned evil, attacking time travelers and even getting too powerful to to the point that Dream XD just threw him into the world at maybe year 0, stripped him of the majority of their powers, and is now inside the egg waiting to hatch. And maybe the way that the egg takes people's energy is also the way of this demigod getting their powers back. This would also explain how Sir Billiam came across the egg, as it has been on Earth or on the Dream SMP land since the beginning, year 0. And maybe we'll get more explanations for this with upcoming Tales episodes, because I definitely feel the egg storyline isn't fully over, and I need some sort of ending to help clear it up and reveal the big questions like what is actually in it.
Experiments
and just,
or whatever,
as soon as we find out what is in it, I'll make a video about it. So
I'm intrigued. But anyway, that was what happened to the egg on the Dream SMP, a KianKSG video. If you guys haven't checked out KianKSG before, you should. He does a great job of like recaps of the storylines, but also just a lot of cool videos. So check him out. I'll leave a link to his channel down in the description. Either way, this was very insightful. I haven't heard of a lot of this storyline, and I didn't even know that certain members were part of this storyline or other storylines that he brought up in relation to this one. So this is all like news to me. I thought I was pretty caught up, but I guess I'm not. Or I wasn't, but now I am. But anyway, if there's another Minecraft video that you guys want me to react to, make sure to leave a comment down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.